What's the difference between A, trans women, and B, women? Let the tolerant crowd explain this one. I'll grab popcorn. Trans women have only had to cover their drinks around you since transitioning. Happy to help. Oh, the perfect response. Also, minor criticism to the original post, but it's trans space women. It's not a word in its own. It's an adjective because they're women. This video brought to you by my YouTube members and patrons. Thank you guys. How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to another subreddit video. And today we are going to be returning once again to r/NotHowWomenWork. It's a subreddit dedicated pretty much to how that sounds. It's not how women work. Is it not how women work or not how girls work? It's gonna be women, right? Never mind, it's not how girls work. I'm stupid. Let's start the intro again. How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to another subreddit video. Today we're going to be like wow, we're off to a great start today, aren't we? Not how girls work. God, YouTube members and patrons, you guys get an extra video every single week for as low as £1 a month. That's about 25p per video. If you want to do that, please do. Please consider it, as I work very hard on those videos and they're always a really fun time. So 25p per video, I think it's worth it. Let's get into the subreddit, shall we? Day 0. Females with armpit hair need to be hung up and executed. If you died, nothing in my life would change. Is the armpit hair in the room with us? Because I can't see any in these pictures, as is. But also, armpit hair is a totally natural part of being a human being. Body hair, right? That's something that we as human beings have evolved to have. We actually evolved from animals that had a lot more body hair than we have. We've actually got less than they have. And yet the amount that we do have, right? That's completely natural. That's completely natural and normal. Body hair, it's a normal thing that people have. Girls who like to be choked and hit during sex are also the ones who cry when you yell at them. Yeah, they like to be sexually dominated, not verbally abused. There's a difference, son. Yeah, one of the big things, right? There's two really important things that come into this. Context and consent, right? Probably the two most important factors for this entire discussion. One, context. Basically, when you are choking someone or hitting them in a sexual manner, it is with the intention of arousing them and creating enjoyable, playful fun. There's usually a way out, like a safe word, or you keep an eye on them to make sure that you're not overdoing it. 2, consent. This is something that they have given you before you partake in this. If you are yelling at them, they have not given you their consent to do so. The reason they are crying is because you are berating them without consent in a non-sexual manner. If they have given your consent to be choked out or slapped during sex, that's because that's something they want. The context and consent create a completely different environment. Completely different. And aftercare is important. I guarantee you this kind of person isn't giving any aftercare regardless. But when you do something like that in sexy times, aftercare is important. When you yell at someone, I guarantee this guy's not doing anything to make it up to them or give them any kind of aftercare after berating them. He's just being an asshole. Sometimes the first pregnancy is short, I believe, because the mother's health is so good. It only takes about 4 months of gestation. An example would be a friend who got married and 4 months later they had a baby. That's not how it works. That would be a severely underdeveloped baby. Gestation isn't just like sped up by the health of the mother. That's not. In fact, quite often a mother's poor health results in giving birth early. God, this is why sex education is important. We're not sharks, okay? A lot of species of shark, the gestation period within the one species can be like between 5 to 15 months. You know, we see this in plenty of animals. But we're not like that. Humans aren't like that. We have a pretty set gestation period, right? We don't have a gestation period that is defined based on our environment and our health and the amount of food we can get, right? We have a set gestation period because that's what's required to develop the brain before they're born. And even then, human brains are pretty underdeveloped. We have a lot of tummy time because of just how massive our noggins are, right? It's not just like, well, this is my first pregnancy, gonna pop them out in 4 months, less than half the time of a normal pregnancy. That's not how that works. Sorry, but why the hell was it in the trash? Because they go there, what the f***? I've been around enough women in my life to know that a bloody tampon should be flushed down the toilet, LMAO. Nothing with bodily fluid should go in the trash. Babe, tampons expand and literally clog toilets. You're supposed to throw them away. That's why they have mini trash cans in women's restrooms. It doesn't expand any more than a normal amount of toilet paper after a LMAO. Such confidently incorrect. I've been around enough women to know, says the guy who's clearly never been around women. They don't go in the toilet. They literally say on the box, do not flush. He's claiming that they don't expand any more than toilet roll. Do I need to get the video up of someone putting a tampon in a glass of water and the tampon filling the entire glass of water? They expand. When tampons were originally developed, they weren't actually even a woman's sanitary product. They were developed to plug bullet holes. This guy who doesn't use tampons is trying to lecture a woman who uses tampons on how a tampon should be treated and disposed of, despite the fact that she's the one that has to handle them. She's the one that regularly looks at the box upon purchasing them, and she's the one that would have been taught how to use them by her parents or by a guardian. He had none of that. I just need to put this into context for a second, right? Because toilet roll is designed to break down. It is flimsy paper with the purpose of literally mulching. It doesn't expand. When you put it in water, it shrinks, right? And it turns to goop, essentially. Toilet wipes, for example, don't break down. They don't expand, but they don't really break down. And most toilet wipes will tell you not to flush them. So why would you be supposed to flush a tampon, which does expand and doesn't break down, and is made of a much more durable material than even toilet wipes? That doesn't make sense. Girls mature faster, so they should be given more positions of power and authority? No. Boys should be taught to look to them for guidance and leadership? No, but that's why older men are attracted to them. Oh my god. Also, I need to put it out there, right? The whole girls mature faster than boys thing, right? That's referred to a lot. And we don't actually know that is because of, you know, a chemical or hormonal difference. There's no evidence to suggest that, right? There is just as much evidence to suggest that the reason that girls mature faster than boys is because they're forced to. When an immature boy acts out as a child, they're regarded as an immature boy. You know, the phrase boys will be boys is used a lot, but girls are treated very differently. They are treated in a very different manner. If a girl acts out the same way that a boy does, she's treated completely differently. So of course she has to mature faster because society essentially forces her to. And that's not a good thing, right? Because we're essentially not letting a child be a child simply because of how they were born. That's not a good thing. That's not something we should be like, yeah, it's good that men are attracted to younger women because they mature faster because we forced them to societally. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing at all. Manspreading at its finest. If men aren't allowed to talk about abortion, women aren't allowed to talk about manspreading. This is actually a crazy comparison. Not really. What do you mean, not really? Wait, what? This is the... So I'm gonna put it out there. I am pro manspreading to a reasonable degree, right? As someone who has a cock and balls, manspreading is necessary to a reasonable extent. I'm not saying, you know, be one of those guys that sits there with legs out at 180 degrees, right? But it's necessary to an extent. But comparing women talking about manspreading to men talking about abortion is just completely what? You know, people use the phrase as apples and oranges a lot, and I disagree with that phrase because they're both fruits, they're both sweet, they can be compared, right? This is like comparing apples to meatballs. They're not even close to being the same fucking thing. Like I say, I'm pro manspreading to an extent. I can't really sit with my legs together. It's extremely uncomfortable. If I move back so you can see, this is about as close together as I can put my legs. I went the wrong way. This is about as close together as I can put my legs without crushing my balls. And even this is uncomfortable, right? And I assure you that the alternative to me spreading my legs a little bit isn't better, because the alternative would be for me to reach into my shorts, lift up my cock and balls, and lay it flat on the top of my legs. And nobody wants to be in a bus or train with a guy that just goes, yep. There we go, so that he takes up more room, because that would be fucking weird, right? And again, I'm not saying that men should be like sat on a train like this, you know? Because no one wants that either. You can be on a train or bus and take up a normal amount of room while manspreading. But comparing the two, comparing that to talking about abortion, it's batshit. What? Just pegged for Vegas when my wife hits me with, I just got on my period. Now I'm debating, do I drop $2,000 to be bunkmates at the Bellagio with no action and overpriced room service? Or fake a work emergency and let her take one of her single friends instead? Married guys will get it. Single people, don't judge. What would you do? Yeah, you should absolutely back out and let her take someone who views her as a person rather than a hole that is out of service. Yeah, pretty much. Oh, I can't sleep with my wife on holiday, therefore I don't want to go on holiday with her. Maybe, right? You should want to spend time with your wife, regardless of if that means you get sex or not. Crazy thought that someone could spend time with their partner without expecting sex from them? That's an option? What? People can be with partners that they actually like and respect and want to spend time with, regardless of whether that means sleeping with them? That's a real thing? Never give head to your woman. I know you have her best interest at heart, but giving head is a submissive act. Let her be the one giving you head, because she's supposed to submit to you, but you should never. There are thousands of other ways to give pleasure to your woman. Last thing we need on social media is advice from a 49-year-old virgin. Yeah, this is advice from a man that's never made his partner come. Like, assuming he's ever had a partner, that is, because come on. This isn't the advice from someone who sleeps with, a lot of women. But also, I would disagree that giving head has to be a submissive act. And also that men have to be dominant and that women have to be submissive. Different dynamics come from different couples, but you could absolutely give head and be dominant. You can absolutely do that. Like the two are not mutually exclusive. This isn't a case of like, oh, you can't be dominant and pleasure your woman. Like, you absolutely can. You 100% absolutely can. In fact, I would actually argue that if you have a dynamic with your partner where one of you is more submissive and one of you is more dominant, it's easier to be dominant towards your partner if you're making them feel good. It's easier to do so. A lot easier than, trying to be dominant and your partner's not having a good time. If they're not having a good time and you're being dominant, you're not dominating them, you're just being an asshole. What a woman's dating profile really means. Adventurous equals hoe. Wild equals drinking/drug problem. Beautiful eyes equals fat. Athletic equals no tits. Curvy equals fat. Boss girl equals disagreeable, annoying. Alpha woman equals bossy AF. Bubbly won't shut up. 39 equals 50. Progressive equals miserable feminist. What else? Well, thank you for showcasing exactly why you can't get a date. I mean, we probably already knew, but I appreciate this guy from really just putting it out there, going, hey, no women will date me on dating sites. I'm gonna pretend that it's their profile that's the problem and not the fact that none of them are swiping right on me back. Yeah, man. Sure, man. Yeah, man. We get it, man. Yeah, sure, man, sure. What is the evolutionary historic reason why women aren't attracted to intelligence? Surely intelligence helped the hunting group get a juicy mammoth. Women are attracted to actual intelligence. How to succeed in life. Not intelligence. Eidetic memory of one's entire Pepe folder and strategic knowledge of how Germany could have won World War II. Yeah, I mean, it's asking, what the evolutionary reason that women aren't attracted to intelligence on 4chan should probably be your first clue, I mean. I've never heard the word intelligence, by the way. Like, I feel like I need to start using that for incels that think they're smarter than other people, because that's hilarious. That's just a brilliant phrase. Intelligence. How's it bad to ask your wife to add something to spice up bedroom life? First of all, stitches are removable. Second of all, it's a question. It's okay if she says no. So this is... I hate that this is even a conversation, okay? This is about the husband stitch, right? Which, for those of you that don't know what that is, basically when someone gives birth, quite often doctors will ask the husband, there's so many cases of the wife not even being asked, they'll ask the husband if he wants the husband stitch. The husband stitch is where they stitch up a woman's genitals, right? The opening, and they'll put in an extra stitch to make it smaller than it was before, supposedly making things more pleasurable for the husband. This isn't good for anyone involved, for anyone, right? It makes sex less comfortable for the woman. It doesn't tighten up the birth canal. It only tightens up the opening. So ultimately, the pleasure for the man doesn't really change in that regard. But because sex is less pleasurable for the woman, she's not going to want to have sex as often. Also, the stitch is permanent. It's not something you can just remove. It's literally to do with fusing the skin back together. This is a permanent change to a woman's body that is often taken without her consent, right? With only the consent of the husband. Yes, it is wrong to ask your wife if she can permanently alter her body to make sex a little bit more pleasurable for you. That's not asking her to add something to spice up the bedroom life, you know? That's not going to your wife and saying, can we try lingerie? Or, you know, can we try something a bit kinky? Could we try handcuffs? That's saying, can you permanently alter your body for me and make sex less enjoyable for yourself so that I can feel a little bit better? That's not an okay thing to ask, and that question should never be there. That shouldn't be an option. That question should never be posed to the husband or the wife, and it should certainly never be taken without the wife's consent. Rihanna's pregnant again. Bye. Oh my god, Rihanna, use your butt. Women could still get pregnant that way. And that's where I'm going to end the video, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed. Oh god, if this video doesn't show you why sex education is important, then I don't know what will. Oh boy. If you would like to support me in making more content like this, then I have a Patreon in the description down below, or equally you can click on that join button on the channel to support me. It helps a lot more than you might realize, but by no means should you feel like you have to. I'm going to keep making content regardless. But a huge, massive special thank you to all of the wonderful YouTube members and patrons that do support me. All of you are amazing, wonderful people, and it genuinely means so much to me that you would consider supporting the channel. And to those of you that do, or to those of you that are considering it, you get an extra video every single week for as low as 25p per video, essentially £1 per month. So if you think that's worth it, please do consider joining, as it genuinely helps out the channel a lot. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Peace out.